I did some testing over the weekend, and I actually played what I'm calling Dark Spellcaster pile, Dark Magician pile, whatever you want to call it. Spellcaster slop, Slopcaster. There's a bunch of different names for it. But I played this over the weekend at my locals. I went 4-1 with it. And I wanted to show off the deck list because I plan on playing this next week at the OTS as well, with a couple slight changes. But I thought I'd go over and share how the deck did. So, to start off, our main deck is 41 cards. And I'll explain as we go why 41 over 40. So, to start, we have 3 copies of Magician's Souls, 1 copy of Magician's Rod, 1 copy of Illusion of Chaos. This engine felt very strong. The fact that Illusion can search any of these 4 cards is very nice, and the fact that Illusion itself is searchable. This deck is highly searchable within itself, and the Souls provide a good draw engine while also providing additional bodies for link plays or what have you. And the Rod also gets you into a +2 combo, which we'll be showing off later in the video. After that, we do have 2 copies of the Gaze of Timaeus. This card felt incredibly good. I was testing 1 originally, and then upon further testing, I realized that 2 is really necessary. This card does come up quite a bit. 1 for the Dragoon, and then 1 for some of the other stuff that we're playing. And then the last card for just the Dark Magician stuff is 1 copy of Soul Servant. Soul Servant is a fantastic card to open if you have it. It's also fine to search later on. Basically, it's going to be able to get you 2 draws while also being able to stack your deck for like a Rod or something like that. So it does come up, but that is the just Dark Magician engine. For the supplementary engine, we are playing the Shining Sark engine, so we're playing 3 copies of the Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice, 1 copy of Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic, 3 copies of Future Silence, and then 1 copy of Shining Sarcophagus. This engine felt very approachable and very easy to get into. It felt strong enough that, hey, I could play through this while also being comboed with things like Soul Servant. The fact that these are treated as their respective names while on field, so if you use DMG's effect to summon herself, she's treated as DMG, and then Dark Magician itself is also treated as Dark Magician if you special summon itself. The fact that Shining Sark also just gets you into further resources later on if you manage to keep it on the field. Future Silence is also really good, like in tandem with that Magician's Souls, because if you open multiple copies of this or what have you, now you have pitch fodder for Magician's Souls, so you can deep draw, deep draw, deep draw. I found myself deep drawing quite a bit yesterday, and I found that it was effective enough that, okay, maybe we should continue to play these cards. The Soul Servant also, like I said, it lets you turn these into a +2 because of their names being treated that way, so I really enjoyed that factor of the deck as well. For our third engine, our last engine here, we're playing the Wanted, Sinful Spoils, Azamina engine, whatever you want to call it. 3 copies of Dia Bellstar. Being a Dark Spellcaster that's level 6 or higher is very nice and very key for the deck. 3 copies of Sinful Spoils of Wanted. Who doesn't want to draw cards? I've seen a lot of lists on multiple of this, but I'm only on 1 copy of Deception. I don't feel like I needed more than 1. It was infinitely recyclable as far as like games 1 were going. I'll talk more about that when we get into the side deck, but I felt that 1 was only necessary, and then the 1 copy Howlett Azamina. Again, this is infinitely searchable. I did theorize testing an Azamina Debtors as well, but I feel like that was just bloating the deck, and it wasn't worth it in the long run. For the non-engine, we are playing a total of 17 hand traps. So we're playing the 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Fua, 2 copies of Ferulia, and then we're playing 3 copies of Super Poly. This deck has a lot of room in the extra deck, so the fact that we have this flexibility to play Super Poly is really nice. It combos well too, again, with Souls if you have multiple copies or it's just dead. Game 1s, you can send them off to get some deep draws and help dig into your other engine. 3 copies of Dominus Impulse. All but I think 1 monster in my extra deck, or 2 monsters in my extra deck, are not of the tri-type for this, or tri-attribute for this. So these are just a naturally good fit card. And then 3 copies of Imperm. 9 spells and traps are really nice because this allows me to, like I said, if I see the souls, I can send them and draw deeper into other things that may be more relevant, or other side deck cards if I see multiples of like Impulse or something. So it does come up. Like I said, 41 cards. Felt consistent enough. There's not much I would change, at least for the time being right now, especially seeing all the new stuff coming out that's being brought out in the Heroes Collection in the OCG. I think this deck is actually going to be something to be considered playable deck If not now, definitely in the future. For the extra deck, we are playing 1 copies of Dark Magician of Destruction. Best card in the deck, might be my favorite card in the deck. It gets you into your Souls cards, or sorry, it gets you into Dark Magician cards, it gets you into your extension engines. It can grab you pretty much a majority of your deck, and it's so easy to get into. You just have to activate a spell, and then have a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster on field. You're going to then banish it and then summon this. And this gives you Gaze of Timaeus, but it also can grab you Soul Servant, it can grab you Magician's Rod, Magician's Souls, Illusion of Magician, or Illusion of Chaos. Gets you all those necessary pieces. Dragoon is Dragoon. Obviously this card's very good, and it's kind of the end board piece you make on your opponent's draw phase or what have you. The fact that this deck can also set this up on your opponent's turn means that, or after you pass turn, means that the effect where Gaze will negate or banish the card would happen until your end phase, which means you should be able to OTK. For the less likely cards, or less obvious cards, Master of Chaos. This card came up yesterday, it helped me OTK. The fact that I was able to summon out Demod, attack, and then go Gaze, tag out the Demod into Master of Chaos to Reborn, I think it was a DFL star, and get another 5,500 damage on board, is enough for me to actually want to play this card. It also has a relevant effect if you get like nibbed or something. Or if your opponent just has a really big board, you're not going to be able to clear it. You can tribute a light and a dark and banish all stuff on your opponent, all monsters your opponent controls. Yeah. And if it's destroyed by battle or card effects, you can target one spell in your grave, add it back to your hand. So if this card does get outed, or you force it out or gets destroyed or what have you, you can add back that Gaze to hand too. This card actually combos really well with another card that we're playing in the side that I will bring up in just a bit. The last for the Dark Magician fusions is Timaeus. Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon. This card is very much slept on, and I think this card is probably a staple in this deck moving forward. The fact that it's also a decent super poly target if you have like Demod out or something and you're playing against like Draco Tail or another like Azamina build. It's unaffected the turn it's summoned by other card effects. And then during your opponent's turn, you can just pop a spell trap they control, and during damage calc, so it'll gain 100 attack for each spell in the grave and the banishment. In the combos I'm going to show off later, this deck's going to be able to draw a lot of cards. I think the most I drew in one turn yesterday was 5. On top of the searching and everything, and I was able to cycle, I think, through almost 20 cards in one turn. For the Azamina package, we are playing the Mu and the Ilia Sylvia. Staples, you don't really need to play anything more, anything less. This helps you deep draw and deep dig for other stuff. And then Ilia Sylvia is a negate. Also, what's nice with Master of Chaos being the Reborn, on the following turn, if you've already cycled through your Dragoon, you can use Master of Chaos to Reborn your Ilia Sylvia, because it was properly fusion summoned. So now you have a free negate set up off of that as well. For the Super Poly targets, we are playing Garura, Mud Dragon, and then Secretarion. Secretarion came up twice yesterday, testing against other decks, but being able to summon off of it, like the Secret or fusion off a Dragoon with something else from your opponent's field is really nice. I actually might cut this though for Chirozzo. I'm kind of back and forth at the moment, so come back and find out. But this card was also really good in the matchup. These two are just kind of staples. The only time I didn't leave Super Poly in was when I was playing against Makonko, because there's not really a good Super Poly target for them. So these stayed in a majority of the time. For an engine that I saw from YCS 300, I believe it was top 4 at Richmond, the Memento player was on this, so I was like, oh, this deck can also do it really well, and I'm going to show how to do the combo later on. But one copy of Zorua, the Magistus Verthongura, for Magistus Fusion. One copy of Artemis, and then one copy of Proxy F. This converts like dead resources on field into fusion material, so it sets up an additional negate, where you may, like other players may go into like IP or SP or what have you. I felt this is way more effective, being able to set up a negate that recurs and also pops another card on field without targeting. The last of the Link monsters we're playing, first off, is Miasma Necromancer. I'll be showcasing this combo off here in just a bit. But essentially, if you open Souls, and Souls is your only line with like 4 or 5 other cards in hand, or let's say you have Souls plus, Ash Blossom. You can go Souls Effect, sending a card, and then normal summon to make this. And I'll explain later what that combo actually is. But it does come up, and it's quite nice. It's also decently strong, and it does get you, if you send a spell, an additional normal summon. This deck doesn't really play a lot of normals, but it does come up. So that's something you consider as well. The last two here are SP, because SP is mandatory, I believe, in every deck this format, or every deck pretty much moving forward until this card gets power crept. Yeah, good card, good. The last one is Celine. This card does come up pretty consistently with recurring your resources or being able to get back like a D-mod or another name or another spellcaster get on field so that you can make the D-mod to go cycle further. Yeah, it came up once or twice yesterday, but for the most part, it just kind of is what it is. For the side deck, so side deck is still under work. Probably will change a few things out, but I'll keep the staples in for now. One copy of Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. It's a Shining Star card. It's pretty good going second. It also turns on your own Secretarion, so if you manage to super poly against like Dracotail, you can also floodgate them while also being like, oh, well, I have Gandora engraved and like a DFL Star. I can put back the Gandora and summon out DFL Star for free. Additionally, like, if you have Gold Sark on field, the Shining Sark, you can summon this card, pay half your life, and then banish everything. And then this card gains, well, destroys everything, then banishes everything. This card gains 300 attack for every banished card, and then if that effect resolves, you get to summon a level 7 or lower Dark Magician or Shining Sark monster. And then it gains that levels. It's not really relevant in this deck, but it's nice that this is also a Dark Dragon that also just helps clear through like big boards. 2 copies of Pink. DeFi terrifies me. So this is in there for now. This could probably be something else, but for the time being, I really like the Pink. Helps player on anti-spell as well. Helps you out those like floodgate cards like that. Magic Deflector, things like that. Or not Magic Deflector, Spell Canceller. 2 copies of Nib, 2 copies of Droll, 2 copies of Bell. These are all matchup dependent, depending on what you have to play against. Bell's really good for the Dracotail. Droll's really good for Rogue, plus like Mitsu. And Nib's really good for like Malice and other decks that just want to spam out a bunch of monsters. So these tend to go in, depending on the matchup, obviously. 3 copies of Droplet. Sometimes it's more effective just to break a board, and being able to use Droplet to like protect your haze or your gaze from being Dracotail flamed is really nice. It also just helps like interactions if they try to Imperm or Veiler your DMG. You can send the DMG and still get the search. 1 copy of Feather Duster. Back row decks or back row decks. This probably could be a 3rd copy of Pink, but I really like the Feather Duster as well. 2nd copy of Deception. This is mostly for siding and going first when I want to side out those 5 mul Charmies, and then same thing with Judgment. Judgment is Judgment. So this is the deck so far. Like I said, 41 cards in the main, 15 side, 15 extra. But now we'll get into the combos. So another thing I wanted to go over was the consistency in this deck. All 3 of these engines are 8 cards each, which is very nice. The mathematics behind drawing any of the 6 cards that you made, or the 15 cards that are started as 16 technically, I should say, is really, really high. So you have roughly a 93% chance to open one of these 3, which will get you into every other engine. And because of that, there's some like really cool plays you can do with both of these that I would like to show off to you. You do need a card, like it's just part of the deck. You just need a card to pitch. But the fact is that we're going to be able to resource loop and grab ourselves more cards to pitch to get deeper into these lines. So with this, there's a couple different ways you can start depending on what you're scared of most. Personally, I like to start with the DFL Star stuff because it's kind of a lesser engine, and the DMG stuff is going to get us into 2 negates no matter what, on top of Recursive Searcher. So, start with DFL Star, pitching the Fua Loss, getting Deception. Now that we've activated the spell, we can banish this. Now, grab D-Mod. D-Mod effect. Grabbing, depending on what you want to dig for here, it kind of changes the lines a little bit. Personally, I mean, probably going for Rod or going for Soul Servant. But we do want to get that extra body in rotation, preferably something to pitch from here. But Rod's also really good. Probably going to want to go for the Soul Serpent, though. So now we have 2 cards that we can also do things with. What's nice too is that you can just summon this by pitching the Soul Servant and still get 2 draws here. But I want to deck then a little bit before we do that. Droll is an issue for this deck, but the fact that most of these cards are quick play spells is really, really nice. So you can go Deception, tribute off the D-Mod. And we can also set up a negate ahead of time here as well. And we're actually going to be able to use bodies on field to do things. So it's a little bit out of order, but it's fine. We're going to go Hallowed, send Deception. Grabbing the Murcielago. Move effect is going to grab us a Wanted. So now we have this online as well. There's a couple different things you could do here. You can leave the Moo out and use it as a body to link play with, which does come up. But for what we're going to be showing off here, I'm just going to put it back off of the effect of Hallowed. And then we're going to be able to go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. We're going to be able to get Ilia Sylvia after we get our search for the Dia Bellstar, which should be right here. Yeah. And we can summon Ilia Sylvia. Bada bing, bada boom. What's nice here too, so I can use Soul Servant now and stack my deck for a card. So I can stack the Rod at the top of my deck now. And then I can use the Wanted Engrave to put back the Deception to get that Rod to hand. And that also adds an extra layer of consistency too, so now we're not wasting the draws from Soul Servant on just this card. We're going to potentially get 2 new cards. So we can normal summon Rod effect to grab us the Gaze. If you have a bunch of dead spells in hand too, or if you already have the Gaze, you can grab Magician Souls here and save the normal summon for something else. We also have a card to pitch with Dia Bellstar, which is very, very nice. So we're going to summon the DMG by pitching the Dia Bellstar. DMG effect is going to trigger now. Grab us that Shining Sark. There you are. Grab the Shining Sark. Use Shining Sark, grab us the Dark Magician. And we've also thinned out the deck a little bit here now too. So much so now that we have a higher chance of drawing hand traps. Because you gotta remember too, we also still have like 4 other cards in here, 3 other cards in hand. So we can summon the DM. And if you want to too, you can leave the DM out if you're kind of scared of what your opponent has, or if they have like, you know, a way to attack your graveyard. You have a Dark Magician on field that you can use to get your resources if you need to. So from here we're gonna go be able to use that Soul Servant. And then draw 2, so I just put 2 hand traps at the top. So now we're currently at 6 cards in hand. And then we can do the Link 2, making Proxy, Link 1, making the Magistus, and then fuse these off, making the Zoroa, and then Zoroa equip the Magistus. And just like that, we've now represented essentially 3 negates plus 5 cards in hand. So the fact that this is the hand at the moment, on top of, you know, we haven't really lost any resources. Our resources have gone absolutely 0 in anything. And you can save the Gaze. So if these 2 negates are enough, plus whatever you have in hand, is enough to deal with your opponent's stuff, you don't have to use the Gaze to go into like Dragoon or that kind of stuff, but now it's like a backup. Or if you get Lava Golem, I know Lava Golem is seeing a lot of popularity right now. So, especially against like MST. So that's something to consider too. The next combo here is the Souls combo, which gets you into much, much more. And I really like this line. It kind of changes depending on what your opponent has, obviously too, but that's just the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. You need Souls plus any monster, plus a card to pitch. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue. We're going to start with activating the Souls effect, and Souls is going to actually dump us the DMG. And then we can normal summon Ash Blossom here. You can also, if you have dead spells in hand or what have you, you can use Souls Effect, send them, get some draws going. But for the most part, this is basically the start here. We're going to Link 2. And we're going to make our Miasma Necromancer. So Necromancer lets me add back a level 5 or higher Dark Spellcaster. But I cannot use the effects of that monster's name. What's nice about this card is that it's an inherent summon, or it doesn't have, it just summons, and then it changes its name on summons, which means I can use the effect. It's really dumb. It happens on Master Duel all the time that I've seen people doing this line, but it's also just really good from here. So you can special summon that DMG by pitching the other card in hand. DMG effect's going to let us grab Shining Sark. Oop, Shining Sark's going to grab us that Dark Magician again. Of Destruction. Or sorry, the Dark Magician of Black Magic. We can special summon that card. And then we can use Shining Sark effect, or not Shining Sark effect, we can banish the Dark Magician again, summon Dark Magician of Destruction, grab Soul Servant, grab the Soul Servant, stack our deck with a Rod. This also depends too, like if you have if your opponent has stuff to do, like this can also obviously change things. So we'll be able to stack the Rod, and then we can banish Soul Servant to draw 2. Doesn't matter what we drew. We'll put that back because it's like a monster or something. Yeah, like every other card here is insane. Which makes a good point. Is that these cards can also draw you into other cards. Normal summon Rod. Rod will grab us that Gaze. And then we can kind of do what we did last time here as well. The difference here is that we can actually leave the Dark Magician of Destruction on field. Call by the Grave is a terrifying card. So that is something to consider as well. But you can link 2 here, making that Proxy F, and then Proxy F fusing, and we get into 2 negates that way as well. This line also can change, like you can make the Selene and then do Selene plays as well. Like if you wanted to summon back the souls and do draws. I've also considered playing Anima in the extra deck, but I haven't really tested that yet. I'm probably going to test it here. Problem is I'd have to cut like probably the Secretariat on. I don't know if I want to do that. So the next combo I want to show off here is the Dia Bellstar line. You can also do it with just the Wanted, but I do want to showcase what happens if you open the Dia Bellstar, or like I said, the Wanted. Is also very good here, so we'll get into that in just a minute. But Dia Bellstar being a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster fits really well in this deck. I've been seeing a lot of Yummy play this. I actually, my only loss yesterday was against Yummy Azamina Dark Magician shenanigans, and we played in finals too. So the deck is very good. We had a full Dragoon finals, which is really funny. But yeah, the Dia Bellstar line is again 1.5. So special summon Dia Bellstar, pitching the card in hand. We're going to be able to set the Deception, and then we're going to activate the Deception. We're not going to use the effect yet, we're just going to activate it. We're then going to banish the Dark Magician, or the Dia Bellstar to summon Dark Magician of Destruction. Dark Magician of Destruction is going to be able to trigger here to grab us the Gaze. This is a pretty standard line. Deception effect's going to be able to tribute off the D-Mod to grab us the Hallowed Azamina. We can then use Hallowed Azamina, targeting Deception, and revealing our Musier Lago. And then summon Moo by sending these. And then Moo's going to be able to add, so we're going to add that Wanted to hand. And then from here we can put back the Moo off of the Hallowed Azamina. And then go Hallowed Azamina, chaining the Wanted, so we'll be able to add the Dia Bellstar now, which should be right here. And still be able to send to reveal for Ilia Silvio. So these will get sent. We have the Ilia Silvia negate set up now. And then we can use the Wanted effect to banish or return the Deception to bottom of deck. And get a +1 off of that. So we've turned 2 cards into 3, plus a negate. And also be another negate, which is really nice. I drew the Dark Magician. So yeah, it's a very solid line here. It's pretty simple, but like this is kind of the building block. The deck also really deep draws. And I'll explain that as we go. I'll do a little bit more of a complex combo here in just a second. So to start with our combo side of things, I want to demonstrate the DMG combo. DMG represents quite a bit of draw as well. So you need DMG plus any other card will get you into this combo line. So we're going to start by special summoning DMG by pitching the card in hand. DMG is going to be able to trigger now to grab us a Shining Sark. be able to activate the Shining Sark, and then use Shining Sark effect to grab the other Dark Magician. And then from here, we're going to be able to special Dark Magician because we control Shining Sark. You've activated a spell this turn, so we're going to be able to banish this and summon our Demon. Typically here, you can go Gaze as well, to just have that online, but I'm going to showcase the draw combo. So, Dark Magician and Destruction is going to be able to search us any card that mentions Dark Magician. So we're going to grab Soul Servant. Soul Servant is going to let us stack a card to the top of our deck. So we're going to stack Magician's Rod. And then I'm going to put a card on top just so we can demonstrate what we're going to do with this. So, now that we've stacked with Soul Servant, we're going to be able to stack the Rod. Since we have a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician Girl on field, we can now banish the Soul Servant to get that draw +1, because we have 2 different names. Ash will just represent a card drawn here. We can then normal summon the Rod. Rod's actually going to grab us Gaze now. And you're probably wondering, like, well, why didn't you just stack the Gaze? Because you can also just stack Gaze with Soul Servant. Why didn't you just search it off Soul Servant? You need the additional body to do some of the link plays and link fusion plays. From here, we're going to link 2. And we're going to make our proxy F Magician. And then we're going to link 1, making Artemis. So, now that we have a Magistus monster plus the way to fuse and an extra deck monster here, we can use the effect of proxy to fuse these off to set up our Zorua. And then we can use Zorua's effect to attach the Magistus, and we have a free negate off of this. So we didn't waste any resources. We just dug a little bit deeper and we thinned out a little bit of our deck. And then on our opponent's turn, we're going to be able to Gaze as well, tagging out the DMG, or the DM for Dragoon or one of the other fusions, depending on what you may need. This also really helps represent, like, hey, this is what the combo can do. And there's going to be other combos we're going to show off too. But yeah, that's like just the basic Shining Sark combo is what it's also being called. So one last thing I wanted to talk about before I ended the video is the hand trap count. I am playing, or hand trap going second cards. I am playing 17 going second cards, which, I mean, in this meta, you kind of have to play stuff like this. But the math on this really is very nice. You have a 94% chance to open 1, and you have a 70% chance to open 2. Which means, theoretically speaking, going second, you should be seeing these cards within relative ease. Not counting if you open the Fua or the Perulia, which does change the math a little bit. I mean, you do have almost a 50% chance to open one of these, which is very nice. So in the chance that you do open one, you have a chance to see more of everything else. And all of these are critical for how the deck provides. Like I said before, the spells and traps being going second cards while also being potential pitch fodder for your souls combos or what have you is very, very nice. So this has been I've been calling it Dark Spellcaster, Magician Pile, whatever you want to call it, deck list. Thank you all for checking us out. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please feel free to like, comment, share the video, follow us. We're pushing here as well. Also check us out on Twitch, where we'll be testing this for the foreseeable future, as well as for the OTS Championship coming up this weekend. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you have any ideas you want to add to the deck, please feel free to comment down below. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Peace.